No one was around. The sun was just coming up over my home on Hickory Street in a little farm town. Ooh, ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town. It's all right with me. Well, the plow broke the prairie, and the prairie gave plenty. Little towns blossomed, soon there were many, scattered like fireflies across the dark night. One was called Early, they sure named it right. Ooh, ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town. That's all right with me. Many dry summers have parched all the fields. They burnt the fine colors, cut down on the yields. But the rains have returned to wash away our tears. It's the fullest green summer that we've seen for years. Ooh, ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town. It's all right with me. Ooh, ain't the morning light pretty when the dew is still heavy, so bright and early. My home on the range, it's a one-horse town. That's all right with me.
Hello, welcome to Davenport, Iowa. Thank you, Elizabeth Laprelle. That was excellent. I love Greg Brown. He wrote that song. He's married to Iris DeMent. They live in Iowa, and you sound a little like Iris DeMent. They live in southern Iowa with their daughter that they adopted from Russia. So I'm kind of looking for things that we have in common, so you might get that theme as we go along. I'm Jack Dane. I'm an attorney here in Davenport, Iowa. We are on the Mississippi River, and I look out my window at the Mississippi and I look at Illinois. There are 4 cities here. We're called the Quad Cities. My wife and I raised our 3 boys in Bettendorf. That's one of the Quad Cities. I'm in Davenport. Those are on the Iowa side of the river. Rock Island is on the Illinois side, and Moline is on the Illinois side. Those are the 4 Quad Cities, although there are many other contiguous cities, East Moline and Silvis and Milan. In any event, I practice law in Iowa and Illinois in state and federal court. My wife and I raised 3 sons. My oldest is in Moline now. My middle son is in Boise, Idaho, and my youngest is in Denver. They all got educated in Iowa, got their degrees, and moved out of state. And that's sometimes what happens here in Iowa. I grew up in Iowa City on a farm outside of Iowa City. And here's a picture of my parents, John and Ellie Dane. We had a Holstein farm, and Iowa is the Hawkeye state. It gets that term from the James Fenimore Cooper novel, The Last of the Mohicans, where the character is Hawkeye. So Iowa was settled in that time when that was popular. And so Herky is the Iowa mascot. He's Herky the Hawkeye for the University of Iowa Hawkeyes. And my parents have a statue of Herky the Hawkeye in their front yard. And that is the farmer Herky. He's got his coveralls on. And we're going to be talking about Iowa agriculture and Iowa history and what to see in Iowa. And I wanted to thank the American Center in Moscow for giving me this opportunity to tell you about my state. And if you've got questions, put them in there. I hope to have time to answer them all. I need to, here we go. Tell you that Iowa has 99 counties, originally 100, but now 99. And it's bounded by the Mississippi River on the east and the Missouri, and it's actually the Big Sioux River on the west. So sometimes it's called Mesopotamia because it's the land between the rivers. And we're on the same latitude as Istanbul. I think you could take the state of Iowa and fit it right in the middle of the Caspian Sea. It's not much wider than that, and it's about the same latitude as that. Iowa came in as the 29th state of the American Union and was admitted as a free state, non-slave owning state. And Florida came in at the same time. They were balancing slave and non-slave states as they were admitted at that time. There are counties named for Indians, Poweshiek, and Potawatomi and Cherokee. There's counties named for American presidents. For Kossuth was a Hungarian freedom fighter in 1848. The 1848 revolutions throughout Europe were happening when Iowa was being settled. So there's a number of people named for those revolutions. The other names are for the Mexican-American War. There's Cerro Gordo County and Buena Vista County and Palo Alto County, all of which were battles of the Mexican-American War, fought at about the same time that Iowa became a state. And the term Iowa is a native term. Nobody agrees on what it means. The chauvinists think it means beautiful land. Some think it means drowsy one or dusty face. In any event, there were Iowa Indians, and today we're going to talk about, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. I will come back to that one. Our flag is the French flag, but we put our seal right in the middle. Our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain. Iowa has 36 million acres of land, 3.24 million people, but 24 million hogs. And there's a popular song by Meredith Willson that ends with, "That's where the tall corn grows." And we'll be talking about Iowa agriculture. Where's Iowa? Again, it's right in the middle of the United States. The Midwest would be Ohio to Nebraska, and we're in the middle of the Midwest. The Dakotas over here, and Wisconsin, Illinois, we're below Minnesota, above Missouri. So St. Louis and Kansas City are south of us. Chicago's 3 hours east of us. Denver's 12 hours west of us. And Minneapolis is a few hours north of the Iowa border. And the capital is located in Des Moines. And again, about the same latitude as Istanbul, Turkey, or the, let me get back here. What makes Iowa what it is, it's the soil. Iowa holds some of the world's most fertile soils, and that's attributable to the glaciation that pounded the rocks into granules, and wind-blown soils, the loess soils that accumulated in western Iowa but are spread throughout the state, uh, provide tremendous fertility to the soil. The prairie grasses with up to 20-foot deep root systems broke up the rocks as well, and the natural fires would burn off the prairie grasses and allow new growth. The buffalo also helped by tearing up the ground with their hooves and planting those prairie grass seeds very deep. Um, Iowa ranks number one in corn production in the U.S. Pigs, eggs, ethanol, biodiesel, and wind power per capita. Second in total wind power, but second also in soybeans and oats. We have a lot of beef cattle on feed. We've got turkeys, sheep, milk. Um, 90% of Iowa's land is used in agriculture, with about, I don't know, it says 13 million acres in corn, 10 million acres in soybeans. Um, the American bison used to roam throughout, mostly in northern Iowa, not as much in the south. South was more woody. The north was prairie grass. 15 million bison or American buffalo in 1867, but within 18 years, they were all but wiped out. Recently, we just had 4 buffalo bison moved into our county to the homestead of William Cody. Wild Bill Cody, or Buffalo Bill Cody, was born in this county, and he got his name when he was commissioned by the railroads to wipe out as many buffalo as he possibly could. And he was quite successful at it. Um, the last buffalo in Iowa died in 1870. Um, if you go back 12,000 years, you'll see that you would have found nomadic Paleo Indian tribes here. 8,500 years ago, we had the mound builders. And this is a picture of effigy mounds showing the bear and the eagles or hawks that are the mounds for the peoples that lived here then. Effigy Mounds is along the Great River Road in Iowa, and I'll be talking about the Great River Road because there's a lot of ways to see Iowa, and one of the best ways is to drive the Great River Road, which is along the Mississippi River. Oh, this is what you might recognize as the original 13 colonies of the United States. After the 7 Years' War, or what we call the French and Indian War, the British really didn't want to spend a lot of money keeping the settlers safe in the West, and so they prohibited immigration into the Northwest Territory. And that was one of the grievances with George III, one of the reasons we fought the American Revolution. And so in the Treaty of 1783, the Treaty of Paris, the United States received the Northwest Territory. It's interesting that even at that time, they hadn't fully explored the Mississippi. It had been explored somewhat, but the headwaters were not found until 1832. And so the Northwest Territory came in under the Ordinance of 1785 and the Ordinance of 1787. The Congress laid out how new territories would be established and new states would be established. All the land was surveyed into townships. Every township had a section, which is a square mile, dedicated to public education. So that section was sold and the money used to build a school, and free public education in America was part of the law from 1787 on. It also provided that this Northwest Territory would be free states, not slave-owning states. The slave states were in the South. Um, I guess on this map it shows a number of the uh, important battles with the Native Americans. Battle of Fallen Timbers being one of the last major ones in 1794. In 1803, there weren't many Europeans in the Louisiana territory. Julian Dubuque had a patent from the government of Spain to operate a lead mine in Dubuque, and the Mines of Spain is a park now in Dubuque, beautiful park. You should visit it when you drive the Great River Road. Jefferson sent emissaries to buy New Orleans in 1803 from Napoleon, and they ended up buying all of the Louisiana Purchase territory. And nobody knew what was there. Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark from St. Louis, from St. Joseph, up to find the headwaters of the Missouri River. But Iowa was carved out of the Louisiana Purchase. The Sac and Fox Indians were supposed to be out of Illinois in 1804, but the settlers didn't really even arrive here until the early 1830s. And when they came to the Quad Cities, to Rock Island, they found Saukenuk, which was a very large Sauk and Fox Indian settlement in what is now Rock Island. And it was occupied by Chief Black Hawk and his followers. And when they were pushed out of Saukenuk into Iowa, they didn't like it. Their burial grounds were in Illinois, and the women complained that the prairie soil was too difficult to break with their hoes. And so they crossed back into Illinois and were chased by Abraham Lincoln and Illinois militia and the American Army up into Wisconsin. Their last battle was the Battle of Bad Axe in Wisconsin, where most of the Indians were killed. Again, that's close to the Great River Road, so it's worth visiting when you drive up the road. Black Hawk and his son, this is Whirling Thunder, or we call him Loud Thunder here, were captured. They were sent to Washington, D.C., and they sat for portraiture there. Loud Thunder in his native garb, and Chief Black Hawk in a military uniform. So when Black Hawk was defeated, the Black Hawk Purchase was established, and this is the area in eastern Iowa that was first opened to white settlers in 1833. There was a buffer zone between the Sac and Fox and the Sioux, Dakota, Lakota Indians. It was unoccupied originally, and then they brought Winnebago Indians down from Wisconsin to occupy this area. By the 1840s, Indians had been pushed out of Iowa altogether. The only Indians, Native Americans in Iowa now own their land. It's not a reservation, it's owned outright by the Meskwaki people or their Sac and Fox people near Tama, Iowa, in the middle of the state. They bought their land at a good time because the following year the Sioux attacked settlers in Spirit Lake, the Spirit Lake Massacre, and that certainly made Native Americans less popular. But the Meskwaki still have their settlement in Tama, Iowa. I put this on here because I wanted to talk about canals which exist east of Iowa. There's canals that come into Rock Island, Illinois, canals in Ohio and Indiana, and certainly, you know, the Erie Canal in New York was very important in developing the United States. But by the time Iowa became a state, the it was the age of railroads, and you couldn't be very far from a railroad once the railroads were all built. Many of these lines are now abandoned. Uh, Many of these lines are now bicycle trails. So I was a good place to bicycle, and we'll talk about that. I wanted to talk about the Mormons, the Latter day Saints. Joseph Smith started in New York, went to Missouri, didn't find it very tolerant there, moved to Nauvoo, Illinois, over here. And when he was killed, uh, Brigham Young found Salt Lake City as the place that they would move to. And so they marched from Nauvoo, Illinois, across southern Iowa on what is the Mormon Trail. By 1856, there was a bridge across the Mississippi here at Davenport, Rock Island, and the train ran to Iowa City, and the immigrants that were going to Utah could get to Iowa City, where they built hand carts and walked 1,300 miles to Utah. Here's John Deere's plow. John Deere was a blacksmith, and he forged a self-scouring steel plow that could break the hard prairie ground. And that's what made his business is building was forging these plows. He moved here to Moline, Illinois, along the river, and that business grew and grew. And this is a Grant Wood painting of the of fall plowing, and you can see that in the gallery here, the Figge Gallery here in Davenport. John Deere got into tractors. Tractors had been developed by a couple different companies in Iowa, and John Deere's known now mostly for the tractors, but they do combines and forestry equipment and all kinds of planting and harvesting equipment and lawn and garden equipment. The John Deere showroom in Moline is one of the most popular destinations in Illinois because you get to go there and see the big equipment, and it's very interesting. Here's our Iowa boy. This is Ashton Kutcher. I don't know if you know who he is, but he grew up in Iowa and in the Amana colonies, and here he's sporting his John Deere cap. These caps are rather popular. They were popularized by the DeKalb Seed Company, and now it seems like everybody wears a what is a baseball style cap, but we call them seed caps. And you usually wear it with someplace you've been. This is my Iowa Hawkeye. There's Herky the Hawkeye right there. I can wear that and people know my affiliation and where I'm from. Here's my dad's hat. This is a traditional farmer's hat, straw hat. It has some holes in it where it was blown off his head and into the baling equipment. And a friend of his painted this painting of his corn and his hat. Iowa has one president that was born here, and that's Herbert Hoover. He was born in West Branch, Iowa, and moved to the West Coast. He was actually an orphan. He was educated at Stanford and became wealthy as an engineer. Then he went into government service, and he headed up the food administration during World War I, feeding Belgians and French people. And after World War I, he was involved in the American Relief Administration, feeding 10.5 million Russians. And so Hoover was the man that the government turned to get things done. And that's why he eventually made it to the presidency, where he was elected overwhelmingly, and then he lost overwhelmingly because he couldn't fix the Great Depression. And when I was 5 years old, Herbert Hoover and Harry Truman came to West Branch, where the Hoover Library is. They opened the library that day, and I was there. And this is definitely worth visiting. You'll see a lot of exhibits there, a lot of history. Iowa has one vice president, and that's Henry A. Wallace. And he too has some Russian connections. He it started off as a botanist, and he started a company making hybrid corn, and that company still exists. It's called Pioneer Hybrid, and he was added to the Franklin Delano Roosevelt ticket in 1940 as vice president, and he was removed in 1944 because he was thought to be too friendly to the Soviet Union and too liberal for the Democrat Party. Um, he was a civil rights champion, ran on the Progressive Party, but the Southern Democrats were not going to have any of that. Um, in any event, he started the Green Revolution by inventing hybrid corn, proving that it was much more productive than just taking a good ear of corn and planting it. It's the hybrid corn that brought Nikita Khrushchev to the Garst farm in 1959. Garst grew the Pioneer hybrid there, and that was a historic visit by Nikita Khrushchev. The Green Revolution continued with Norman Borlaug. He invented some hybrid wheat strains that addressed a lot of famine around the world. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for doing that, and in Des Moines, the World Food Prize is handed out every year. University of Iowa has a great physics department. One of its scientists was James Van Allen, who was an early explorer of space and is the namesake of the Van Allen radiation belts which surround the Earth. Grant Wood, he is our native famous artist, and this is one of the most recognized paintings and one of the most parodied paintings. It's called American Gothic for the Gothic window on the farmhouse. The farmer and maybe his daughter. This painting can be seen at the Chicago Art Institute. It's not my favorite Grant Wood. I like Stone City for the lollipop trees. But my favorite is really this one of me. Well, it could be me in my garden. This is called Spring in Town. And you can see that the man's putting in his garden and the woman's putting out the quilt that she's cleaned, and people are busy mowing and fixing and all kinds of things. And of course, there's an ominous smokestacks in the distance. So there's the country and there's the city. This is how you might see your trip to Iowa. You might see it as you look down. Sometimes they say we're flyover country because when you're flying from New York to LA, you can look down and see this patchwork of squares. Again, it's the ordinance of 1785 that laid out all of the Midwest in sections, and so everything runs in straight lines and sections. But the interstates, 80 that crosses Iowa and 35 that comes down from Minneapolis to Kansas City or all the way down to Texas. That's one way to see Iowa, but you won't see as much of it as if you were to take the byways. Take the Great River Road here to Davenport, Iowa, and see our minor league baseball team, the Quad City River Bandits, playing at the most scenic stadium right on the river. We've got river boats that you can take excursions on. There's a couple riverboat companies that run St. Louis to St. Paul, and you can see the river that way. Here's the railroad bridge, so there's still the railroad that runs across. The barges that run up and down the river when it's not frozen haul a lot of grain for export, and you'll see them. Here in Davenport, you can also visit our Figge Art Museum, the Mississippi River Visitor Center, which has Lock and Dam 15 displays there. The river was free running prior to the 1930s, and in the 1930s, 28 locks and dams were installed on the river to raise and lower the water level to allow barge traffic easy transportation up and down the river. It's a 9-foot deep channel that the Corps of Engineers maintains. And I wanted to tell you that one of the, I'll show it here, one of the history items that is pretty interesting is that there used to be great log floats. The lumberjacks of Minnesota and Wisconsin felled those trees, and they tied them all together and ran them down the river, floated them down the river in great log floats. And they would come to Dubuque and to Clinton and to Davenport, where there were a number of mills. And you can visit the Clinton Lumber Museum to hear and see some of that history. In fact, this ballpark is called Modern Woodman Park because it's named for the society formed originally by lumberjacks. Now, where I'm sitting right now used to be the Denkman Weyerhaeuser mill, and Weyerhaeuser moved to Seattle and started producing the wood that Weyerhaeuser Corporation is known for in the Great Northwest. After the mill here burned, and it burned, and where it burned was right where I'm sitting. My office building is built on the former site of the Weyerhaeuser Denkman mill. I like that picture. The Upper Mississippi. As you go up the Great River Road to Clinton, to the Lumber Museum, to Dubuque, to the Mines of Spain, to the the National Mississippi River Museum in Dubuque. You'll go on up to Pikes Peak in Iowa, which is where the Wisconsin River comes into the Mississippi, or on up to Effigy Mounds. All of these are great places to see. There's a lot of river history. Mark Twain ran riverboats, steamboats on the Mississippi through the Quad Cities here. Louis Armstrong played on riverboats that came up the river. Our local jazz legend is Bix Beiderbecke, and he learned to play jazz on the riverboats and then became successful in New York, died very young, remembered today for a 7-mile foot race named in his honor. We run the Bix 7 every July here in Davenport. Another great drive in Iowa is the Luss Hills Scenic Byway. If you recall, I said the Luss settled very heavily in these hills, and they're so fragile and erodible that they are set aside. There's not a lot of land that's set aside in Iowa, but the Luss Hills are very beautiful rolling hills in the western part of the state. They're so beautiful that somebody who glanced them once wanted to be buried there, and just a year ago, George Foreman, the heavyweight prize fighter, was buried in the Luss Hills near Sioux City. Here's the 1919 Chicago White Sox coming out of a cornfield. And in the book Field of Dreams, the farmer who was losing his farm to the bank had a premonition that if he built a ballpark in his cornfield, that his father would return and these ball players would return. So a number of things come out of this out of this film. As the players come out of the corn, they ask, "Is this heaven?" And they're told, "No, it's Iowa." And the other saying that is often repeated is, "If you build it, they will come." And so it's just that faith he had. The Great River Road runs in Dubuque, and Dubuque's very close to Dyersville. So you can see the Field of Dreams, where they're still playing ball, and they even have major league ball teams playing at the Field of Dreams. This is an Amish couple and their children. The Amish do not use cars or tractors. It's the old order Amish kind of forsake modern conveniences. And so they are um, uh, located in a number of areas throughout the Midwest, in Ohio, Indiana, in Kelowna, Iowa, which is close to my home in Iowa City. You can see older order Amish. It's easiest to see them if you attend the horse auction on the first Monday of each month. They sell horses and mules there. My grandfather sold his mules through the Kelowna auction house back in World War One, and the trains run from Mexico to Canada along the river railroad tracks and interrupt us from time to time. Anyway, more mules came from Iowa and Missouri to the World War One front in France than from any other source. I wanted to talk about some utopian societies, the Great Awakening, the Millerites, of course, we talked about the Mormons. There were a lot of religious fervor going on in the 1830s and 40s, and Iowa had a number of utopian societies, one of which was a manna, and it was a communal society that continued until the 1930s, eventually becoming a private corporation, very successful in appliances. They pioneered microwave ovens. Uh, we call them radar ranges because that's what Amana called it. Um, but if you want to visit Amana today, it's a great place to have uh, lunch or dinner. They have arts and crafts. The Amana colonies are just west of Iowa City, close to Cedar Rapids. Um, the Kelowna stores are also a place that you might look for some Amish quilts if you are interested in quilting. Iowa food. This is what I was known for. The fried pork tenderloin sandwich, which has to make the bun look small, or it's not a real pork tenderloin sandwich. We also have loose ground beef sandwiches called Maid-Rites, regular hamburgers as well. Uh, the Iowa chop is an inch thick pork chop, and it's a specialty of the area. Iowa beef is known around the world. It's corn fed beef, which means that there's a lot more fat in the meat than if it was graze fed. And fat is flavor, and it makes the beef tender, and it's especially popular in Japan. There's nothing better than Iowa sweet corn on the cob. My dad always required that it be picked that morning. Uh, if it was a day old, he would go and pick some new corn on the cob. Um, you can find any kind of fruit in Iowa today, but those are some of the things that we're known for. I could talk for a long time about 4-H and how I showed my Holstein, like this young man is showing his. It looks like an Ayrshire or something like that. Um, County fairs and the Iowa State Fair are very popular. There's 1 million people each year attend the Iowa State Fair, where young people and adults too show animal projects, looking for the best in show for beef, hogs, rabbits, chickens, lambs. There's also arts and crafts. There's photography. Baking is a big thing at the state fair. People compete for the top prize in Iowa pie baking. Um, there's all kinds of acts, uh, rodeo acts, music acts, things to enjoy at the Iowa State Fair. But there's county fairs throughout the summer in every county across Iowa, where you can drop in and see um, people showing their animals. Maybe it's dog obedience or something like this dairy show, um, dairy competition. One of the things at the Iowa State Fair that is not replicated anywhere else is that every year they sculpt a cow out of butter. Now, why they started doing this, I don't know, and I don't know how to stop it, but it happens every year. They sculpt a cow sculpture out of butter. Uh, the state fair's in Des Moines, where the capital is. Des Moines got an opera and a symphony and an art museum and a ballet troupe. A lot of Iowa towns have symphony orchestras, ballets, and art museums as well that are worth visiting. So there's plenty to see. This is Kinnick Stadium, the home of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Well, I have to put my Hawkeye hat back on. Go Hawks! All right. This is the Iowa Marching Band. Iowa plays in the Big Ten against what used to be a bunch of Midwest teams. Now it's a national conference from LA to New York. The University of Iowa is the largest university in Iowa with 31,500 students. The professional schools are in law. That's where I got my law degree, medicine, pharmacy, and business. So it has a state-of-the-art um, uh, medical school and medical campus. Most of the Big Ten schools are known for their research, uh, universities. I noted this week that the Hana virus evacuees that came to the United States are at the University of Nebraska Hospital, of all places. But it signifies advancements in medicine. The other university, big university in Iowa, is Iowa State, and Iowa State is more of a STEM school. Both Iowa and Iowa State have engineering, but Iowa State has more of the agricultural sciences. It's where the veterinary school is. The University of Northern Iowa is a smaller university, and it specializes in elementary education, teaching, and music. The University of Iowa is where Dan Gable, the Iowa State wrestling graduate, 1972 gold medal Olympian, graduated from Iowa State and then coached wrestling at Iowa for many years with a significant winning record. Iowa and Iowa State both have men's and women's wrestling programs today. Um, College athletics and high school athletics are events that you can attend. Iowa has 27 private colleges and universities, 15 uh, community colleges offering 2-year degrees. And you can finish with a 2-year degree, or you can take that on to a 4-year bachelor program and take that on to a 3-year law or 4-year veterinary or medicine program. Iowa is the home of Caitlin Clark, and she set the women's career and single season scoring records in basketball, both for points and for 3-pointers. And women's sports were never as popular as men's sports and didn't sell out the arenas until Caitlin Clark came along. And now they sell out not just the Iowa women's games, but the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association, Indiana Fever games are sold out. She's so popular that they even sculpted her in butter at the Iowa State Fair. Can you believe that? Ah, Iowa City is a UNESCO City of Literature, International City of Literature. And part of that is from the Iowa Writers Workshop, but the offshoot of the workshop was the International Writing Program. And the international writers come from around the world for 10 weeks of collaboration. Unfortunately, we don't have the Russians coming now, and we hope to have them back soon. I enjoyed talking with the Russian writers when the writers would come to my home farm. This is the hay rack that my brother's going to pull out and show soybean and cornfields to the international writers at the home farm in Iowa City. That's been going on for 40 years, and that's where we serve everybody a big meal, and the big meal comes out of my garden. I make ratatouille from all the eggplant, zucchini, peppers, tomatoes, garlic, basil, and other vegetables. No beets in my garden, thank you. Iowa, I want to talk about some hobbies. I don't know what your hobby is. A lot of people in Iowa spend a lot of time in their gardens like I do, or on their lawns, mowing their lawns, tending their flowers or their trees. Other people like to golf, hunt, deer hunting, turkey hunting, pheasant hunting by bow or shotgun is popular. Fishing, boating, bird watching. Uh, People come to the Quad Cities to watch the eagles in the wintertime because there's a great number of eagles that nest here. I like to canoe, and I like to bicycle, and I like to hike. You can canoe on the Turkey River, the Wapsipinicon River, the Maquoketa River, but I'd recommend that you canoe on the Cedar River because you can canoe from Moscow, Iowa on the Cedar River. Moscow, Iowa, of course, named for Moscow, Pennsylvania. And Moscow, Pennsylvania, probably named for the defeat of Napoleon in 1812. They've got Indy and NASCAR racing in Newton, Iowa. This is my mom, and I love this picture. It shows her as she always was, baking pies. She was baking 12 pies that day for the writers that were coming to visit. Children would come out to the farm in Iowa City and get a farm tour and then a free ice cream cone. So it was very popular. And I called her a number of years ago and I said, "Who's coming out today?" And she said she was having the Kurov ballet troupe came out to the farm for a big lunch and tour. Pie is one of the big things in Iowa. And if you ride on the Des Moines Register's annual bike ride across Iowa, you will go from pie stand to pie stand and looking for the best pie, maybe the best pork chop. The annual bike ride takes place in July. It starts on the Missouri River by dipping your rear wheel in the Missouri River, and ends a week later by dipping your front wheel in the Mississippi River. And you'll ride to 350 to 450 miles, 60 to 80 miles a day, camping every night. They haul your gear for you. You hit all of these little towns, towns of 500 people with 15,000 people showing up during the day to dance in the streets and eat pie and look at the local attractions. This is a great way. This is how I went to see the Surf Ballroom, where Buddy Holly and Richie Valens played their last show before they died in a plane crash on February 3, 1959, the day the music died. That's in Clear Lake, Iowa. I visited the Dvorak House in Spillville, where Dvorak spent the summer and wrote the New World Symphony. There's a lot of immigrant culture. Pella is Dutch. Orange City's Dutch. The Danes celebrate in Elkhorn, the Norwegians in Decorah, Iowa. The northern part of the state is flatter. The southern part of the state is hillier. The amount of climb that you do will tell you how much work you have to do on this bike ride of 400 miles across the state. Every year it's a different route. You'll see that this is this year's route, and one of the places they're going is the Field of Dreams right here next to Dubuque. Last year was more northerly route, so it would have been a little flatter, ending in Guttenberg, beautiful city overlooking the Mississippi River. Orange City, the Dutch town, is where they started. It's a great way to see the state and see a lot of small towns and a lot of small town culture. 2 years ago, they did this southern route, and it was 18,000 feet of climb, which is it's not my favorite. Anyway, they went through Eldon, Iowa, which is where that Grant Wood house is located. This is a picture I took coming out of the Sioux City area, coming out of the Luss Hills on a misty morning. Get on the road early to avoid the heat. This is what you'll see, a lot of corn and soybeans and some grain bins and lots of other riders. And people pulled off to buy some Gatorade or some pie, maybe. And here's one of those hills. Every hill you go down, you got to go back up another one. So you can see that Iowa is not flat. Silos probably mean beef or dairy cows. And there's a movie about all of this. It's called Piowa. And it's, again, a takeoff on the Field of Dreams. If you bake it, they will come. And it's got the Grant Wood house there. And it's all about pie and all about Iowa. So if you're able to find Piowa, I'd recommend that you watch it. And now I'm back to where I can start looking at some questions. I don't know where I'm going to see these questions. Trying to figure out. Oh, it's. I don't know if I figured out where the questions are going to be here. I am going to. There we go. Question. What is your favorite place in Iowa? That's a great question. I would say probably the farm pond where I can fish for some bass, some quiet place. I like to be in my garden, but in terms of where would you want to visit if you were coming to Iowa, I'd certainly do that road trip and hit the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library and visit the Amanas. And that would be great food and well worthwhile. What images or stereotypes come to mind when people think of Iowa, and how accurate do you think they are? And one of the things I didn't mention, it was in the slide, is Iowa nice. And that's, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but Iowans talk about Iowa nice. And to me, Iowa nice is four people in four vehicles sitting at a four-way intersection waiting for every other car to go through, because you might as well let them go first. So that's an image or a stereotype. In Minnesota, they tell Iowa jokes. We tell Nebraska jokes or Missouri jokes. There is an image of farmers, and it's less and less true as farming involves fewer and fewer people. Are people in Iowa friendly? They're very friendly. You just come here, we'd welcome you anytime. What has kept you in Iowa all these years? What is it that you love about it? I grew up in Iowa, and I wasn't sure I was going to stay when I finished college and law school, but it's a great place to raise a family. Iowa education is very notable. Iowa has educational measurement companies in Iowa City, and was previously noted for its level of public education. So the public schools are very good, and again, a good place to raise the family. Is there a classic Iowa pie that everyone grows up eating? Um, you know, it's apple pie is the tradition. There's a lot of apples here. I was watching in Piowa the movie. They were saying it. Raisin custard was voted the best pie, and that must have been many years ago because nobody really makes that pie anymore. But it would be a pie that you could make in the wintertime when there wasn't any fresh fruit. We were talking about what song to play, and one of the songs I like is Greg Brown's song about his grandmother canning fruit and vegetables, and how it made the summer come alive even in the wintertime because everything was in a jar on the shelf. And so that's the kind of thing that we don't do too much canning anymore. Mostly freeze our fruits and vegetables. Um, how big is the grilling and barbecue culture in Iowa? Well, that's what I do almost every night. It's a and I can do it. That got a gas grill, and I can do it year round. But mostly, when it's nice enough out. Um, again, prices are really getting awful in terms of the price of beef, especially. It's 25 pounds for a good steak these days. Um, $25 for a good a pound of good steak. You can get good pork for $3 a pound, or good chicken for $3 a pound, and so we'll barbecue a lot of pork and chicken. Um, what surprises international visitors most about Iowa or about the American Midwest? That it is a multicultural place. There are open-minded people here and very open to showing off Iowa and talking, interested in what you do. I was going to start this off saying if this was a conversation, I'd be asking you about your hobbies. How do you spend your leisure time? Where do you like to vacation? I like to vacation at Glacier National Park or at my sister's lake house in Idaho. But I do like to bicycle. I like to hike with my uh, golden retrievers. We can walk 3 miles from home to work and do. Um, are there tornadoes or other severe weather patterns in Iowa? And it just seems like the weather is getting worse every time you turn on the television. You're going to a weather alert. I don't know if global warming has caused us worse weather, or it's the technology that allows the broadcasters to pinpoint exactly where the tornadoes are. And there's a tornado every month or more. Uh, Less in Iowa than in Oklahoma and Arkansas, but the weather here is very turbulent very often. Is there an Iowa accent or way of speaking that people from other states notice right away? Well, I've got the Iowa accent, and we say we don't have an accent. It's a Midwestern accent, and it doesn't have that Southern twang, and it's certainly not that Eastern Boston accent. Um, so I want to say that I've enjoyed looking at, reading up on Iowa to share with you. I'd be happy to share it with you in person and hope that day will come pretty soon. I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. I want to thank the American Center in Moscow for doing this weekly series, and hope that you enjoyed this and that you'd be able to tune in next week, because next Wednesday, May 20th at 8 p.m., you can hear about the state of South Carolina. So I wish you all well. Come visit and have a good 2026. Thank you so much.